Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Flight 705 to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. It feels not dissimilar to the beautiful country of Mongolia today. It's fresh, a pleasant 5 degrees Celsius. Just getting all my flight checks done. Coffee, check. Oh no, wait a minute. What have I done with my little lip balmy bag of tricks? What have I left it in the house? Oh dear. Can I improvise? Let's have a look. Yes, our pleasant 5 degrees Celsius, also known as. Oh my god! Every Monday I go through this because I have different bags on the weekend. I have to put everything back in my bag for work, and I did all of that. But I've just. Oh no! Here it is. Woohoo! He was hiding. And someone was here and they left. Wow! What? Because I wasn't yelling and screaming about some person on YouTube I don't know and I'm never going to meet? You didn't want to hang around? Well, probably a good move jumping off this plane. We have no seatbelts, we have no beverages, we have no snacks. You have to bring all that crap yourself. Lights on. Let's go. Let's go. We are the orange and brown from Hobart Town. We are the Tassie Scallops. There's no snow on the mountain. Feels like it could have snowed last night. So for those of you non-Australians that might replay crew this, oh, why would you? But if you chose to, welcome. In Australia, we have the AFL, also known as the Australian Football League, and last week it was announced Tasmania is the recipient of the 19th licence, which means finally, after years of hoping we'd get our own team, we have. And there's a lot of fun happening online about the name for the team. But as the world is, as weird as the world is, several years ago I was in a comedy debate about whether or not Tasmania should have a team, and I was on the gay team, and I did a massive slideshow presentation and announced that in 2023, I'm psycho, guys, I'm so psycho. I predicted in 2023 a Tasmanian team would be announced and the name would be the Tassie Scallops. Now, look, that part of it was a comedy debate. However, some of the names that have been put out there, Scallops isn't actually that bad. Hey, Kylie. How was your weekend, Grooves? My weekend was insanely social. Like, insanely. I haven't put water in my windscreen wiper thing. It's too cold. I had a little note in my mind to do it this morning before I left. But it's going to rain today anyway, so I had so many social events. It all kicked off with a gorgeous old school friend of mine from Tassie, who now lives in New Zealand, being home for a few days and managing to squeeze in a catch up with a couple of other gorgeous girls from school and me. Coffee, yeah, I've just made my second one. I have a very small. I kick off my day with a herbal tea because I'm weird like that, and have my little morning ritual. And then after my shower, I've got like a 1960s, probably a teacup technically, but little funky little cup. And I have a little coffee in that while I'm sort of getting dressed and sorting my head around the concept of going to work. And then I make another one that I put in a traveller that comes with me for the drive in. And then by the time I get to work, I am good to go. And then we usually, well, we rarely actually, we're too busy to nick out and grab coffee. So we usually, just on the left with the turbo chooks I was going to talk about. Yeah, we usually have to put up with, pretty better than most office kitchen coffees. And there is a pod machine for those who like pods, but I don't. I just taste metal, and I also think they're an environmental fucking nightmare. Get run off YouTube. Back in just a minute. See, we're back. Yeah, watch me run off YouTube for not liking coffee pods. I'm a stovetop espresso kind of gal. Oh no, the flu. No. Oh, there was a tiny bit of water left. Is it enough to clean my windscreen or to make it worse? Let's see. Look at that sky. I think you should be able to see the sky now. I hope your little one feels better soon. The flu is yuck. Oh, there's frost on the ground. I mean, it's not surprising. It's 5 degrees, but I rarely get frost at my place. I think because I'm so close to the beach. Not to say I don't get it. It's actually snowed at my house. I think there should be a video of that on this here channel, but it's not cold enough for my car temperature gauge to have a little snowflake next to it. I think I get the snowflake when it's 3 degrees or colder. It's never gone below 0, though. Yes, I caught up with school friends. I kind of love that we're in our mid-50s and we're still as close as we were. We're closer than when we were at school. I mean, we're really close at school. But I love that all these years later, someone comes home for literally 48 hours, but we still manage to squeeze in a catch up. And there's 5 of us, and we're like such a tight little group. And my year at school was horrible. The 5 good girls all found each other. And when I say good, I don't mean nerdy, well behaved. We were cheeky. And we found each other in a sea of bitches, basically. It's why I react so badly to these drama channels. To me, they're all just bitching channels. I've managed to avoid people like that my whole life, even as a kid at school. And I can't believe that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people want to tune in to listen to men and women, primarily women, but there's men on, a few channels, which blows my mind, bitching about other people on YouTube. That's all they do. It's not drama, it's bitching. And these are adults. Many have children. Bizarre. Then after my gathering with my girlfriends, I went to a dinner. Connected to my work. About 200 people lots of speeches, awards. We weren't in the awards category. If there'd been a category that we could have won, we would have because we're amazing. But that was fun, but full on. And then after that, I came home. And then Saturday I went back to town for lunch with a friend of mine who's down from another Tasmanian but who now lives in Queensland. And we had a gorgeous lunch. I managed to find a pub that was pretty quiet because we're both a bit anti large crowds of people and not been in a large crowd of people the night before. But I found this pub that does great food, big open fireplace, beer garden with an open fireplace, all the yummy stuff. I love having friends still from school. I'm glad you do too, Chloe. It's special. I mean, my best friend from school wasn't in my year because that's how bad my year was. And she's the friend of mine who lives in San Diego, the Tassie girl. The one whose son is my godson, God monster. I talk about them a bit. They're the people I went and stayed with when I went to Hawaii for some of my time in Hawaii. We're actually looking at planning a trip. I don't know if it's going to come together or not. Depends on what happens with my house, really. But Lockie's qualified for it's not outrigger canoes, but it's another type of funky canoe thing. He's a really good surfer. He's 15, but he's managed to get into some team that's competing at an international, whatever the canoe is, event in Samoa in August. So we're contemplating catching up in August, which would be awesome. I haven't been to Samoa. I went to uni with a lot of Samoans, so I'm keen to see their country. And it's a pretty easy trip for me. Oh my God, you guys might be able to see it, but there's like about 40 geese all going in single file down the side of the bank of the river, just where we went over. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, I caught up with Christine for lunch and we had a really good catch up. Hadn't seen each other since last year. In fact, no, the year before. We chat every couple of weeks, but the last time she came to Tassie, she fell over and broke her wrist and quite a few ribs. So they had to leave Tassie a little bit earlier than expected. And she was travelling with her daughter, her twin grandchildren and her daughter's husband. And while they were travelling back to far north Queensland, they all got COVID. Her last visit here was a fucking disaster, essentially. So we had a gorgeous lunch. And then I came back down here because friends of mine who live in Strawn up on the northwest coast of Tassie, they were down in Dodgers, where I live, and we were going to catch up. But when I got to their family members' house, who were also really good mates of mine, they weren't there. They'd all gone to the footy, the local footy. And I said, well, I've got to be down the road for dinner in half an hour. Because another group of friends have a shack not far from me, about half an hour. And they had a dinner. So I went down and had dinner with them and I stayed the night, but I was home by 6:05 to feed Sunnybum. Then I went and caught up with my friends from the northwest coast before they then headed off to concert in the afternoon down in the Huon Valley. It was just crazy. Then I went and did all my grocery shopping at the market, the farmer's market, so I could do some meal prepping yesterday. But I ended up just making one dish, and my sister came for dinner, and we watched MasterChef and got a bit sad about Jock Zonfrillo dying and how weird it was watching him, but it was also kind of lovely, I guess. And then Ange left, and I went to bed and went, shit, I've got to go to work tomorrow. I want a weekend. I need a weekend to get over my weekend. Very, very social. And I mean, I'm a social person, but I'm also mega homebody. I love being at home, pottering around, doing things in the garden, growing my little herbs, planting things and watching them grow, doing little things in the house, little maintenance stuff, minimalising. I love pottering at home as well. But it's a feast or famine, isn't it? You either end up with, 3 weekends in a row where you're sort of like, I probably should just go to the gym just so that I can socialise with some human beings. Or you've just got a weekend and it's just non-stop. So I've just had a non-stop one. But it was lots of fun. I've got a bloody long non-stop week. In fact, this week and next week are non-stop. So much on. I like that about Tassie. It's autumn. Look at that sky. It's getting colder. And everyone's going out and about. Like when I lived in South Australia, winter descended and everyone hibernated. Like people just stayed at home. And it sort of sucked because some of the summer was so hot that people stayed home sitting under their air conditioners because it was stinking hot. And then winter would be bloody cold and they'd all be sitting indoors with their heating on. Whereas the Tasmanians, I mean, we've got a massive winter festival that some of you guys know. I've taken you to a few things at Dark Mofo before. Yeah, it's sort of like the colder it starts to get, the more we get out and about. All the pubs have beer gardens with heaters, open fireplaces. Cafes have little throw rugs so you can sit outside. Like but we don't, it's not a wet place. We don't get the same sort of rain that Melbourne does, for example. And I think that's the difference because it's a dry climate. I mean, we get rain, but nothing like people think. I mean, look at the sky, man. Your brother's in Alaska. Air Force stuff. You're scared of bears. Oh my God, you have to watch. Have you watched Alone? I'm so addicted to it. It's my favourite show ever. But because there's a series, the first Australian season of Alone is on at the moment on SBS, and it's in Tassie. And one thing I love about it is that old-fashioned, you have to wait for a week to see the next episode of a show. I actually love that, and it reminds me so much of being younger. You know how everything now is on demand and you can binge watch entire seasons of shit on weekends and whatever. It's so nice to have that good old-fashioned, stay tuned till next Wednesday. But anyway, so the Tassie one, I was hooked straight away. I mean, Survivor is another show that I love. Alone's a bit different, though, very different. And then I was on SBS and I flicked around on the index and I found 8 seasons of Alone, Americans. It's an American show, and I found 8 seasons. And then there's a 9th season called The Beast, which I'm pretty sure is also in the US somewhere. Well, it's an American one. But they go to Vancouver Island and the Arctic Circle. There's often contestants from Alaska, funnily enough, because, a lot of them are big on that sort of survivalist lifestyle. But the last season I watched, which was season 8, and I've chewed through because um, I can have it playing while I'm doing stuff. But there's also a loan from Norway, Denmark, somewhere else, and they're all subtitled. So I'm going to have to actually. I'm saving them for winter when I can sit and watch and read the subtitles. But yeah, there's a lot of bear action in. I mean, there's a lot of bear action in a lot of the seasons, but season 8, they are dropped in like grizzly bear country, and they all have close encounters with these bears. It's crazy. Oh, you've just started watching! Yay! The Tassie one's really good. I'm so glad they did it in Tassie. Although I'm kind of hoping the next one they stick them in the outback with snakes and dingoes. And I mean, we've got deadly snakes here, but where they've put them, it's sort of like a temperate rainforest. So, I mean, it's not that there's not snakes there, but they're not as prolific there as in other parts of the island. So, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, wombats can be aggressive. Nobody's seen a wombat though. I mean, there's been some paddy melons, a wallaby or two, a Tassie devil. But, you know, they're not under threat from like fucking um, bears and, oh, now I'm going blank, all of the different animals that they have to contend with in the US show, like mountain lions, moose. Um, Shit, I'm trying to think of the name of the animal that raids their camp and steals their food, and I didn't even know it was an animal. Um, oh my god, what are they called? They do have really good systems in place, though, regarding bears. So I'm sure your brother is on top of that. I think he said military, right? Air Force. So I don't think they're going to struggle too much with the bears. They've got the equipment required. Not that, you know, you want them to be shooting them, but the guys and women on alone, they don't have guns or anything. They've got these little horns that, you know, are supposed to scare the bears away. And it's so funny, they pull out these horns and the bear's just like, yeah, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the croc either. We don't have crocs here, so um, I'm mesmerised by snakes. But my sister, she can hold them and let them wrap themselves around her neck and stuff, and she loves it. I can't. I like looking at a snake, but I don't like holding reptiles. But I'm with you on crocodiles. I mean, if you encounter a saltwater crocodile, you're kind of fucked, really. And, you know, death by crocodile with like the death roll underwater and everything. Oh my God. How fucking terrifying would that be? I mean, if I had to choose between being eaten by a croc or a shark, I'd choose the shark. Because people who've survived shark attacks, their body's go into shock and they don't actually feel anything. Like, you hear about shark victims coming, you know, being pulled out of the water and they're missing a limb. and they've got no fucking idea. They've no longer got an arm or a leg or whatever. Like the people who've survived them say that it's really quick and they didn't feel anything. So, but croc survivors, their tales seem to be, they remember everything and it ain't fun. You had pet snakes as kids. The only snakes in Tassie are lethal, so nobody, I'm sure there's people that have reptile pets here that have probably been brought in from other, I don't know actually. I don't know anyone who has a snake as a pet in Tassie, come to think of it, but yeah, you wouldn't be turning any of the Tasmanian snakes into your little pet, no way. They're all absolute killers. But when I see them just like doing their thing, I'm absolutely mesmerised. Which is why I often think, I could die by snake bite because I get hypnotised by them. And I'd just stand there and let it attach itself to my face and kill me, and I'd care, but I wouldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I think death by croc would be the worst. For sure. I've got a book that was written by a woman who survived a shark attack, and it inspired her to write a book, and it's the 50 things that are more deadly than sharks. And the book is actually called Death by Coconut because more people die each year from a coconut landing on their head, falling out of a tree, than people die from shark attacks. But she wrote about, she actually loves sharks and wrote about her experience and, said what a bad rap they get because they can kill people, but nothing like other things on the planet. And I remember back when I was doing a comedy pilot, like we were writing a show for a pilot for the ABC, and the show was called Red Monkey, and one of the ideas I came up with was based on a statistic about how many people are killed each year by a donkey. So I had an idea for the opening credits for one of the episodes to have Red Monkey on the screen and then this donkey coming along and like kicking the monkey and flicking the monkey off the screen. It's an animation, don't get upset. And the monkey flying off the screen and then the donkey getting a spray can and changing the M in monkey to D and that episode being Red Donkey. But the ABC didn't take the show on, which sucked because it was pretty funny. Hey, German. Oh, Doodle Brown. Hello, beautiful. Was thinking of you on the weekend. I hope you're doing okay, gorgeous. I don't really have anything to talk about. Well, apart from Tassie getting an Australian Football League licence for the 19th team, which is pretty exciting. This little island has sent a lot of our elite footballers to the mainland to play in the AFL. We're finally going to have our own team. And there's a lot of chatter about the names. And, actually, you guys will find this interesting, I reckon. You Americanos. So, obviously, Tasmania, we have the real-life little critters known as the Tasmanian Devils, right? So the Tassie Devils is an obvious choice for a name, even though there's a team from Victoria who are known as the Demons. But it's like, oh, well, we'll have the Demons and the Devils, whatever. Warner Brothers, because of their cartoon Tasmanian devil called Taz, have basically told Tasmania that they will sue us if we use Tasmanian devil because they've copyrighted it. How fucked is that? It's a critter that doesn't live anywhere else in the world. They are a much loved animal here. There's a lot of research going into a facial tumour disease that is decimating their population in certain parts of the island. Like anything that you buy here that's Tasmanian made, not everything, but a lot of things that you buy, a portion of what you pay is donated to that research fund. But Warner Brothers has said they will sue if we use Tasmanian devils because they've copyrighted it. And it's like, to me, it's akin to us. Say the Muppets hadn't had Sam the Eagle, but in Australia there was a kids show and we had a bald eagle called Sam, for argument's sake, in the show, and we copyrighted it, and America was like, that's our eagle, man. That's kind of the symbol of this country, and we would like to be able to use it freely. And we went, nah, fuck off. We've got a character in this kids show called Sam the Eagle, and it's a bald eagle, and we've copyrighted it. That's what it's like. I should have changed this heading, actually. I've only just thought of this while I'm driving in. So, yeah, Warner Brothers has told Tasmania, don't you fucking dare call your team the Tassie Devils. And we're like, it's a unique animal that doesn't live anywhere else in the world. Well, they do in zoos because they had to get some. There's a huge Tassie devil enclosure in the zoo in Singapore. We saw it, but they've been taken out of the state to try and get on top of this facial tumour, and all zoos are doing that now with animals, you know, the breeding programs and so on, to make sure that we don't lose more species and more species don't become extinct. But we were all like, it was so quick for them too. Like Warner Brothers jumped onto it so quickly and we're just like, nah, you're not going to be calling them that. And everyone loves the Tassie Devils. I mean, our Tasmanian Devils are one of the many things that we're known for, but probably one of the favourite things because they're fucking cute as. So, yeah, everyone's a bit upset, man. I'll have to read the chat when I get it because I can't read lowercase. But, yeah, Tassie's a bit upset right about now. So one of the suggestions was when I was driving out of where I live, we've got these bush hens. Everyone calls them turbo chooks because they live in the bush and they just cruise around, but they always run at like fast speed across roads and shit. They rarely get hit because they're fast, man. They've got turbos. So we've all been joking that we like the turbo chooks because it's kind of a Tassie joke. It shows we've got a sense of humour. But when I did this comedy debate years ago, the name I came up for the team was the Tassie Scallops, and nobody seems to be interested in suggesting that as an option. You can take outdoor pictures of a copyrighted thing. They've copyrighted the name. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, taking on Warner Brothers, like, imagine what their legal team would be like. It was, I mean, to be honest, it was more how quickly, like, we were all celebrating getting this team. Like, it was fresh news, not even 24 hours old. And Warner Brothers weighed in on it and basically said, don't use the name Tasmania Devils because we own it. And everyone was like, can we just party for 24 hours? We've waited for this for such a long time. Like, it's massively exciting news. In a country where Australian Football League, AFL, footy, is such a huge part of our culture, and it's a fucking great game, and there's been a lot of awesome Tasmanian footballers that have had to go to the mainland to play AFL. For us to finally be included, and we're the only, well, there's still two territories, but there's 5 states in Australia and 2 territories, and all the states have teams now. But Tassie's got one. The 2 territories don't. But it was like massive news. And as much as the adoration of sporting athletes, athletes and sporting heroes and all of that stuff can give me the shits, it's also part of our culture. And to finally be acknowledged that we are worthy of a team is pretty fucking exciting. And everyone was over the moon. And Warner Brothers just came along and pissed on our parade. It kind of almost threatened us. The Premier has said Tassie Turbo Chooks is not an option, but we're all like, oh, come on, it's funny as fuck. A few people have suggested the Islanders, but a lot of people don't like that because they just instantly think of, Samoa and islands in other parts of the world. We can't be we have the Tasmanian tiger, which is extinct, but we can't be the Tassie Tigers because there's already a team in the AFL called the Tigers. There is a team called the Demons, but we sort of went, well, Demons and Devils or whatever, it's not impossible. We are renowned for our amazing abalone scallops, but nobody's taking my suggestion seriously. I mean, one of Australia's most popular football anthems is a song called Up There Kazali, and Roy Kazali was a Tasmanian footballer. We've donated a lot of amazing footy players to the AFL. But yeah, boo hiss, Warner Brothers. Like, if you want to weigh in on it, on the name thing, stake your claim, could you at least let us party for one day? would that be all right? Just let us be a little bit excited and happy for one day. Tuba. Oh, Damon, I'm on the same side as you. I think it's fucked. We all do. But yeah, to essentially copyright the name of an animal that is endemic to Tasmania and only Tasmania And we've never sued Warner Brothers for bullshitting about Tasmanian devils. Like, they don't create tornadoes. They don't run around on 2 feet, 2 legs, and spin around and have massive, like, are taller than most human beings and are terrifying. Like, they're tiny little animals, as you know. I've shown, well, we've sponsored them on this channel. They're gorgeous little critters. They just have a voice that makes them sound like they're always grumpy. But so do our possums. You know, they sound grumpy too. But that's just their voices, man. Let's move up a tiny bit because really, we're back. That was weird. It's like there's no internet in the middle of the city. Interesting. Got better internet down the coast of my joint. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on the footy team and if a name is decided and all the rest of it. But it looks like we're having to um, take the Tassie Devils out of the mix because we don't want to get sued by Warner Brothers. I'm amazed they were even allowed to copyright it, you know? Like, copyright your little cartoon character. But when you've named it after an animal that exists, it, yeah, I don't know. It's akin to my analogy about imagine if Australia had a kids show with a character called Sam the Eagle and we refuse to let anyone in the US use it, even though we don't have bald eagles in Australia. But we're like, nah, we copyrighted it. Too bad. Sucked in. And again, like, how about you just let us celebrate getting a team for a few days before you weigh in with your lawyers, you know? Pardon me. I've been wanting to burp for ages and I don't know how to mute on my phone. Well, I can actually see where I can mute, but I'm putting makeup on. I didn't have an option to do it. Sorry, guys. I made a pretty spicy dinner last night and it was so yummy, but I've been burping all morning. I could feel a burp and I was like, I just have to get it out of my system. Hopefully it settles down before I'm seeing clients. That might be good. I need to message my sister and ask her if my dinner made her burp this morning too. Can you guys burp on demand? I can. I don't have a lot of skills. But that's one of them. Okay. So that's all I really had to talk about was the Tassie Scallops and the scandal that is surrounding their name, or our Tassie footy team, and what names we can and cannot use. But we're all a little bit upset with Warner Brothers right about now. Sorry, guys, I don't know what's going on. I've never had an issue with internet reception at the car park. Maybe there's a bit of bad weather up on the mountain. There's a huge aerial on the mountain that is sort of part of our radio transmitting internet, all everything. And when I did breakfast radio, we used to refer to it as the summer fun stick. I'm not really sure why, but maybe the summer fun stick is having a bad day. I don't know. It's Monday. I mean, who wants to work hard on a Monday? Back in the good old days when I first started working, Monday was like the get on top of everything, get the week all set up, good to go. And then Tuesday, you really get into it. Mondays now just hit the ground running, and you're lucky if you get to come up for air. The working world has changed a lot since I first graduated uni. I'll just put my powder on so I can put my glasses back on and see what you groovers are chatting about. Do you think Tasmania should sue Warner Brothers for being bullies? Or for pissing on our parade? I mean, the Tasmanian Devils, the literal ones, they didn't give permission for their name to be copyrighted. It's kind of amazing that it was even allowed to be. You would have thought that animals wouldn't be able to be copyrighted, but their names, it's so bizarre that they even were able to copyright it. Like, who let that go through? Was Tasmania consulted at all at the time? Maybe I'll have to research the history of Warner Brothers copywriting Tasmanian Devils and see what happened. Like, it's weird that it was allowed. Copyrighted it, and whenever you guys want. Well, why couldn't we negotiate a deal, and why couldn't Taz the Devil, the Warner Brothers Devil, be on all of our Guernseys and be like the mascot? Why couldn't we come to some sort of... I'm putting my car back on. It's getting cold here. It's 8 degrees now. It's still cold, though. Like, maybe we could compromise, Let me see. Tasmania should have rights over that for Warner Brothers. So selfish. It's a totally different thing. No, well, we're all aware of it because we're Tasmanian. When I went to America as an exchange student, when I went to the US of A, and I told people I was from Tasmania, every single time I said that, I'd be like, oh, you like the Tasmanian Devil? And I knew pretty much. I remember seeing Taz in Warner Brothers cartoons in Australia as a kid. Like, I knew about this, fictitious version of our little critters. But yeah, whenever I told people I was from Tasmania when I was in the States, I was either asked, what's it like in Africa, living in Africa, or I got asked, or I got told, oh, I didn't know that white people lived in Africa. And I'd be like, what? Oh, Tanzania, right, gotcha. Even when I said Australia, I had a lot of people asking me what Europe was like to live in. And I'd be like, I don't know, you might need to chat to the Austrians about that. But, yeah, and a lot of people didn't realise Tasmania was actually a real place. They thought it was fictitious to do with the Warner Brothers cartoon character. So even when I came onto YouTube um, back in the day, J is for Justice and Oni both didn't realise Tasmania was a real place. Or actually, J might have. I can't remember now. But they're like, what? It's an actual place? I'm like, yeah, yeah. I can name all of your states and you don't even know that Tasmania is a real place? Okay. Global geography not high on your priorities then. But I did geography when I was at school in the States. I did American history, American literature. I topped American history and American literature as an exchange student from another country. But I did actually also study. But yeah, that wasn't really a good look for the education system when an exchange student topped the class in American subjects. But anyway, uh, yeah. So yeah, I got asked all the time if I was a Tassie devil. Do you guys remember Chaz? He was around in the early days on YouTube too, in the true crime community. He was kind of connected to Jay and Oni, and trying to think where he came from. Might have been Oni's friend, but his nickname his whole life has been Tasmanian Devil. So when he met me, it's like, oh, that's been my nickname my whole life, Tasmanian Devil. I wonder if he's copyrighted that. God, that blast from the past, I've completely forgotten about. Chaz was one of the first, if not the first channels that all the channels in the true crime community did lives to try and help him get to 1,000 subs. Used to be a thing back in the day. It was kind of cool. They don't really do it now. They don't give a fuck about anybody else. As weird as that group was, it was still small and there was a sense of community and helping all the creators out to build their channels. But these younger, newer, they're not necessarily younger people, but the newer channels, they don't seem to be as, they've worked out how to build their channels, which is to jump up on panels of bigger channels, but there's not a lot of that generous kind of the jury's doodle browning to penis. You just noticed in the feed a video with a Tassie devil. Will they see? Well, they better not, Joman. They've only copyrighted the name, not the image. Typical Americans not knowing geography. Yeah, I know. Are we in Twin Peaks now? What was the tuba thing on the? No, I've been breaking up. There's some sort of shitty reception thing going on. Yeah, I'm roboting too. Awesome. I can't do anything about it, guys. I can. Well, I can. I can end the live. And I'll go back to finishing listening to a podcast about Ivan the Light that I've been listening to. Let me know if it's crap and I'll just end the live. mascara is going off like that. I'm all so on today. I'm so snuggly. I love my knitted frock collection. I've got I've got two at the moment, but I've always had. And I've got three. I've always had a couple in the wardrobe my whole life. Love warm work. A bit slow in getting onto things like that. My sister and niece, when we went to Singapore, they got their artists tinted before we went. I might say my like I didn't really get to rest it much, and I really noticed the difference. I'm going to take my little gloves with me, though. Okay, I can ready to chat again. I'm so sorry if I've been. I'm still. Am I still roboing? Robo tour. Love you, Kyle. Thanks for dropping in. Am I roboting still, Groovers? Oh, that burp wasn't me. Like, I mean, I've been openly burping, but this guy just walked past and he did a big burp. I mean, it was impressive. I would have taken credit for it if it had been mine, but it wasn't. But if I'm robotour, I might just relieve you all of this torture. I don't want to be that person, you know. And I'll put my podcast back on and keep listening to that because, you know, there's nothing like more cheery than Ivan Milat first thing on a Monday morning. If you don't know Ivan Milat, Google him. He's one of the worst things that Australia has ever created. He's dead now, thank God. Yeah, there must be an issue with the reception from the mountain. But yeah, Ivan Milat, the backpacker murders, horrible, absolutely horrible. And really brutal. Sadistic, so it's just disgusting. And we don't have the death penalty in Australia, when a really nasty, horrible criminal who has committed absolutely horrific crimes dies, it's almost like party central. was with his